What I like about it is, we talk a lot about providing value, and it's like there are people out there who are like, yes, I want to lead with value, I want to provide value, but like it's hard to know what that looks like.
Okay. Hey everybody, and welcome to the Real Estate for Introverts podcast. My name is Marisa Lindsay. I am your introverted realtor out of Colorado Springs.
What's up everybody? My name is Dubs. I am also an introvert, also in Colorado Springs.
Of a different variety though.
A different variety for sure. And I say that a lot on the intro, but I don't necessarily get into how it's different. But one of the key differences is Marisa feels very comfortable behind a screen. And it's like, it doesn't feel as high cost. To me, that feels even more high cost because there's what I said right there for everybody to analyze and think through. And I'm like sitting here just overthinking, wheels spinning. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to put anything out there. So, yeah.
But it's the exact opposite for me. She's better in person. I am just so awkward. And then it is crazy though. There are different types of introverts. There's so many different kinds. And I think that what people mistake about introverts, it's not that you're shy.
Right.
A lot of introverts are shy though, but it's not that you're shy or that you don't know how to talk to people. I do know how to talk to people. If I need to turn it on, I can turn it on in like a 15-minute spurt. And then that's it. And then I'm done. I have nothing left in the tank and I have to go and rest. So y'all, introverts are people who, when they do interact with others, it drains their tank, and the way that they refuel is by being alone. And that's it. It doesn't mean that you can't talk to people.
Right. Or a lot of introverts, what I'll find is thrive in one-on-one conversations. They like that. But a group, there's too much. It's too much. It's exhausting.
Yes.
And so, but not when you're with your people, right?
Not when you're
introverts,
with your people.
Right.
I mean, it depends. I feel like, I don't know.
It still gets you. It still can get you. Yeah, for sure.
It's taxing. I don't like small talk. I think people, it does drain me. And I just know this for a fact. I would just kind of rather sit back and watch than have to interact. And that's why I love these social media groups, because I can just sit on my couch. I'm a total homebody. I don't like to leave my house, which is why all of the podcasts are done here. Love my house, don't like to leave it. And I can sit behind my laptop and talk to people that way, talk to you that way, my introvert crew, and build relationships from behind a screen.
Right. And that's what it's really about. It's not like you said that introverts are necessarily shy and don't want that connection. It's like a controlled connection.
Right.
But I'm sure you face this challenge. How do you be an introvert in a sales-based industry, specifically real estate? Like, what a challenge.
Yep. Which is why we've concocted all these other ways of interacting with people that have nothing to do with scary things like door knocking, going to events, hosting events. Oh my God, I do it sometimes, with my business, but oh my gosh, it's so hard and I freak out. And so it's just a great way. I think that we've developed some great ways to build community without actually being in a physical community. So that's been a very important piece of my business.
Yeah, no, and I think Marisa is actually pretty gifted at doing this online. I've learned how to do it over the years in person, especially within a coach setting or a teaching setting. That's my background in building that community, because I can make a quick, slightly sarcastic jab. I know how to play in person, but that play doesn't necessarily translate to online. And I think what you're really gifted at is, creating that sense of community online. I actually have an example that you did on Mother's Day. And so she did this really cool thing, and she says interaction a lot, which everybody thinks, reading the post, commenting, sharing, yes. But what Marisa is able to do, I don't even know if she knows how she does it, but she creates a camaraderie among her people to be like, comfortable and feel at home in that online space. So here's what that looks like. She made a post on Mother's Day, just like, hey mamas, I see you. And we can throw it up because we did a deep dive, but it's a very simple post. Hey mamas, I see you. Here's some Starbucks on me, go grab yourself a cup or something to that effect. And what happened was everybody started posting their pictures and sharing how grateful they were. And it went from a moment of just like, hey, go get a coffee, to like, oh, we're all moms in this together, having this moment in this community. And it was like, they shared that moment of getting coffee together through the online community. And
it was really cool.
It was really cool and something really special. And I think that's really the goal of what we're trying to teach people how to do.
Yeah, exactly. And it was, I love how groups have a tendency to kind of take, they are, I feel like they end up having their own life, its own personality, this group. And you get to be like the mayor of the group, and you get to try and mold it into the kind of space you would want to be a part of. Yep. So for me, this moms group, these are military spouses who have children, or they're the service member with kids. And when you're a mom and you're moving from duty station to duty station, it gets really, really lonely because you create this group of people that you love and that become your family at a duty station, and then you move, in 2 to 3 years, and then you have to do it again and again and again, and it's super hard, and it can be very lonely. So having this online space where women can come together and support one another, what I love is that people have left and they're still in the group. It's super cool.
That's fun.
So yeah, concocting these group spaces and creating interaction and figuring out what's important to your group will breathe life into your group, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I see, and that's why certain posts get interaction and some don't. So I just had another interactive post in the group, and that one was about sharing cheap meal ideas.
Nice.
Right?
Nice.
It's like such an easy thing. Like, don't overthink it. Like, just post it, see what people have to say. And everybody's now sharing like all of their dinner recipes.
I'm gonna have to join the group.
This costs like $10, and they like come up with the ingredient list.
Wow.
Some person shared that they use ChatGPT to create their shopping list.
Wow.
I was like, what? Like, what is this craziness? And as somebody who, even though I only know Facebook, like, who thinks I'm up on technology, like, I'm not. I learn that every day. Like, I have no idea what's going on in the world of technology.
Yeah.
But to create, anyway. So yeah, it's this like space of sharing, which kind of, actually this does not bring us at all to this, but I do want to talk about it. I decided this week that I'm jumping back into production.
Yep.
And this is something that I have not worked on in 2 years. Like, I was in production up until August of last year, but for the last, I'm going to say over 2 years, for the last 2.5 years, I have not tried to get business. I haven't needed to try to get business. Business just kind of comes to me. It's never something that I've had to work on after my initial 2 years of pouring into these groups. Like, I haven't had to do it. Well, in order to better lead, I think, my agents and then the Real Estate for Introvert group, I think it would be better if I spoke from a place of somebody who's actively doing these things. It would make more sense to me if I came on and talked to you guys about what worked for me today than what worked for me 2 years ago, or what's working for my agents. And for example, so this morning, well, it wasn't this morning, last night. So once I decided to do this, I jumped on board and just decided this in 3 hours and then started doing the work.
It's true.
So last night.
She will not be the deer that gets hit by the car.
I will never be the deer that gets hit by the car. If you haven't seen that podcast, that's a good one. So anyway, I decided that I was going to get back into production, and then I scheduled these posts that were going to go live this morning. So one of them went live at 6 a.m. and it was a house here in the Springs, and I wanted to post it because It was BAH. So what that means for people who are not in the military members get a certain amount of money for housing. And so when military members are looking for housing, they're trying to usually stay within that BAH range because they don't want to go over that and dip into their paycheck, right? Mm-hmm. So this house was in BAH range. So I listed information about the house. And then I'm always telling my agents, you have to go beyond Zillow. Like anybody can look at a house on Zillow or read a post that says, this house has 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, on a corner lot, quarter acre. Anybody can say that. You can look on Zillow and read that. Yeah. But what as a real estate agent or somebody who's actually here, what does this house mean to somebody who is moving here or is interested, but they just want to know more? Your job as an agent is to answer the questions before they know they have the questions, right? So I made this post and I was like, y'all, stop what you're doing. Check out this house. So I talked about the stats of the house, and then I'm like, let's get beyond Zillow. This house has $100 per month with property taxes, which is amazing here because there are some areas. Actually, Sunny and I are doing she's over there. Sunny and I have a listing. How much was that property tax on that house? $7,000 a year? $6,000 a year. You guys, if I'm doing the math correctly, $500 a month. Oh my God. Is crazy. That's so crazy. Oh my gosh. So the fact that I am mentioning that this house has $100 a month in property taxes for, if anybody purchases this home, that's saying a lot. And then I talked about the fact that it was down the road from Panorama Park. So, I'm looking at the house. I'm looking to see where it's located, and I have a rough idea of where it is. I've sold a couple houses in this neighborhood, but all I'm doing is looking on Google Maps, and I'm like, okay, it's near this park. Oh, we're 5 minutes from the Air Force Base. Mm-hmm. Oh, we're 20 minutes from Fort Carson. Okay, so if I say it's near Panorama Park, what does that mean? Right. So I Googled Panorama Park and found out in August of 2023, they unveiled a brand new Panorama Park. It's award-winning, and it's the biggest grant ever given to Parks and Rec here in Colorado Springs for a park renovation. Wow. This place has a basketball courts, state-of-the-art. It has splash pads for young kids, all of these things. This whole fitness thing that you can, a fitness circuit. Okay, nice. And so amazing. And I'm like, oh my gosh, learned something. So then I informed them, and I'm like, award winning, biggest grant, sure. Blah, blah, blah. Wow. You're down the road from it. And so it's about going above and beyond, right? So that posted this morning, and since then, and I haven't looked at my phone in an hour and a half. So I'm not sure if there's been any new information coming out of that post, but this morning I had 2 people reach out to me, and one of them that I had a huge conversation with, she's coming in from Alaska. She's trying to sell her 4-plex there. They'll be here in August. They just found out last week that they're going to be stationed here. So she's scrambling. And of course, she wants my help. And that's what happens when you post and you over provide the value. And it sometimes means that you have to do that extra legwork, but that's what people are looking for. And so I'm so excited to jump back in and share with you guys what I'm doing and what's working. And then, I'm sure there are going to be a lot of fall on my face moments that I will also share and be like, don't do this because it didn't work. Right.
Yeah. No, what I like about it is, we talk a lot about providing value, and it's there are people out there who are like, yes, I want to lead with value. I want to provide value, but it's hard to know what that looks like. And so just hearing you talk through that scenario, here's what I hear. It's okay, she did the basics, the Zillow information. Easy. Done. Anybody can copy and paste that. But then the one step further is you put yourself in the mindset of what does that look like? What does that feel like to live here? Which is exactly what somebody who's shopping for the house would do. Yeah. And so it's okay, do you put yourself in that situation? Not only it's near, but what does that mean? You're trying to get clear on what it means, and that led you to this big discovery, which is unique value that you are now providing. So that's the pathway. When you ask yourself what is value, you are putting yourself into that person's situation that you're trying to help and thinking through, if this was me, XYZ. Right. Here's what I would want to know. And you never know where that's going to lead. Mm-hmm. So,
and if anything, if nobody commented on the post, I learned something new about my city that will help me better serve my families. Right? Like, that's what it's all about. I mean, I remember at the beginning when I was first serving families, and I had never sold a house before, but before I sold my first house and I was doing these video showings, I was saying things like I would do the video tour, but I would educate the heck out of myself before I showed up at that house, and I would find out what other homes sold for, if they went over asking, if they did go over asking, because this was in the frenzy of like 2020 when I first got started. So if it went over asking, how much did it go over? Did they have a gap appraisal? I would find all of that out so that as I'm going through the house and I'm talking about the home, during those gaps in conversation where like I'm going up the stairs or, you know, in a garage or something like that, I could plug in. So I know that, you know, there's 3 homes that recently sold within, you know, a certain radius, and this is the kind of offers that were accepted. So if this is a house that you're thinking of, like, let's already start working through that, what that looks like. I know that the last house we saw, we didn't need as big of a gap if we're looking at the comparisons for that home in that area. But for this house, we will need a bigger gap. This is a highly sought after community, and this is what we're looking at. And so, like, that's all that you do, right? Is you over research so that you're speaking from a platform of expertise when you're talking to these clients. And then that helps them make an informed decision. You just don't show up at a house, you have to do your research. So same thing too when presenting homes online and looking into what you want to say about them. Over research and answer the questions before they even realize that they have them. And that's where I lead. And that's really what's made me so successful. And I'm trying to teach that to other agents. That's where it comes from.
Sure. Well, and she says that's all that you do, right? That's it. It's that simple. And it is that simple in a sense because she has taken those steps and now it's like, oh, that was her 2 years ago. Yeah, that was simple. But, you know, 6 months before that, she might have not have said, oh, that's all that you do. And so I think the real value of you getting back into production, especially for the people who are in the group and who follow the podcast, it's having a mentor work through those situations and getting to watch how they handle it.
Right.
Now, each person is going to adapt it to themselves, their city, their situation, you know, their demographic, who are their people. But there is so much value in watching somebody with experience be like, oh, here's the nuance, here's the nuance, here's the nuance. So they can follow in your footsteps of thinking, of evaluating what's the process. And I just think there's so much value in that because in this industry, in real estate, there is so many closed doors and no transparency. Nobody is actually sharing real strategies and real situations. They're just like, oh, I'm successful, you know, be like me. You know, do X, Y, Z, but it's like, what example did you give last podcast? Here's the closing gift I give. You can chat GPT good closing gifts. You can't chat GPT how to think through taking a family who's flying in on 20 different builds and, you know, one is a new build. How is that going to compare? Are they going to listen to the wind noise? Whatever. You know, all these weird things real estate agents think about and think through. But when you've done 300 transactions and then you add the experience from the team, like there is so much value there just to listen along, especially if you're new, to learn from that situation. And then how do you take that experience and formulate it online so that other people can connect with that story?
Right. And I think that's the hard part for me.
Yeah.
Is like conveying, because to me this all comes very naturally. But that's why, like, I have Dubs here because she takes what I do and she breaks it down into like, oh, I see, like this, we'll break it down. It's step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. And so thank you for that.
Sure.
Invaluable input. I really appreciate it. But it's really about creating an experience for your clients. It's creating a certain type of experience. And then what I've discovered, what follows that experience are super fans. And that's what you want. You want super fans in your business. And that's only created by over delivering.
Yeah.
and it's over delivering every step of the way.
Yeah. And for Marissa's over delivering, it's going to be highly relational. It's going to be a, hey girl, you know, like there is that element of like, but that's, you know, part of who Marisa is that connection. You know, we have different people on the team who are not going to have that same type of connection.
Nope.
But they're going to over deliver in different areas. Like, and that's what I want you guys to hear as well. You know, we can watch Marisa make these posts. I'll break them down for you. I'll be like, look at this, look at that, look at this. But really, sometimes people still get caught on, well, I'm not Marisa. That's not who I am. Like, I'm not a hey girl. And I'm like, oh yeah. Like even when I say it, I'm like, hey girl, oh, like, I'm blushing. Because I would never say that, but it's like, how would you connect that? And I think that's what I'm excited about watching over the next few months is as you apply it, you know, I know you do this for our agents, but writing posts as they would, but watching each individual person find their voice, connect with their people, provide real value, and generate a business from it is super, like, it's super exciting.
Yeah.
To watch people come to life.
Sorry guys, I have been advised that you hear the crunch of the Tic Tac when I eat Tic Tacs, and I'm so sorry, but I have a Tic Tac addiction, so here we go. But so anyway, just putting that out there. Anyway, so I'm excited.
Very polished on video.
For you to follow along on my reintegration into the real estate world as a realtor, not as a coach. So follow along. I'm going to give you guys the playbook. I'm not holding anything back. I'm going to give you the down and dirty on what, like, seriously, where I fell on my face and what is working. We're going to start posting pictures of like posts that got high activity and why I think they got high activity. So if you're not, sorry, my team meeting's about to start, so we have people at the door. Yeah. But
ding dong, it's time for you to knock. That's the opportunity knocking for you to learn. Come join us on this journey today.
Opportunity knocks, that's the doorbell. But if you are not a part of Real Estate for Introverts group, join us on Facebook. We would love to have you. Yeah. Join us here. Make sure to subscribe. Yeah. Like and follow, whatever it is on YouTube. I don't even know.
Yeah, like, follow, comment, do all the things. It really, if you like this, and if you want a direct email into your inbox to be like, hey, we've posted a new podcast, sure, subscribe, but drop your email below, DM us on Facebook. We'll send it to you if that's what you want, because we believe we're getting value out there and we just want more people to enjoy it.
Yeah. All right. You guys make today great. Have a good day.